Cheers.
Cheers. Hello.
Buongiorno.
Welcome to We've Got This Maybe, the podcast. Yay.
I feel we're not very animated in this, are we? We kind of just sit.
We
Do we need to do some dance moves, do you think?
Well, for our
Okay.
visual listeners, they'll be having a field day right now. But
Yeah.
for our audio only, we are fist pumping like we're in the middle of a festival. But hello, welcome back, everybody. And hello to all of our even newer subscribers. Welcome to the chat, guys. How amazing is it? Like this, small community that we're growing, because I love like seeing the comments and having like people getting involved and like relating to what we're talking about. And it's the exact reason why we wanted to start these conversations, because it was allowing people a space to feel seen, to have somebody to almost feel like, yes, that's me, like that's my exact situation sort of feeling. It's great, isn't it?
I love it, and I'm really proud of what people are feeding back as well. I'm really proud of the fact that people feel that they can message in, and they can chat to us, because we're very chatty, as you probably can tell. We're very like it. We like a conversation. So it's great, and I'm really pleased that we can create that environment that we can all be in and go, do you know, I'm not a weirdo, or it isn't just me.
Yeah.
These things do happen, and they're okay to happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And us building this tribe is what we were kind of all about when we first started talking about this, wasn't it? That we just wanted to create a space for us all, whoever you are, wherever you're from, whatever you wear, whatever you do, like, we're all here together. We've all got this, right?
Yeah, maybe we do, maybe
Amen.
we don't. Who knows?
Who's preaching?
Yeah, well, we like to preach, don't we? We like to do for the cause. But if you haven't followed, subscribed, reviewed, all of that fun stuff, please make sure you do, because it goes such a long way, and it means that we drop like on your phones, devices, wherever you listen to us, like as soon as we are ready on a Friday morning.
Yeah. So this week's episode's a bit of an interesting one. I think it'll be really interesting to see where this goes. But one of the things that we both kind of like have talked about in the past is sort of about how, our relationships and how we kind of, there's the ick of things that kind of, drive you nuts, but then also sort of how we're both in sort of what we hope are our, final relationships in life. And, you do never know, but at the same time, this is sort of where we want to be. So how do we maintain that relationship when there's things that drive you absolutely insane about the other person?
Well, let me just get out my notebook.
I know. Is it a thesis?
But do you know what? It's so difficult. And, how you manage your emotions, how you argue, how you present yourself. You have a massive blowout and then you go and see friends and you're acting like a perfect couple, but you're like looking at each other like through scorned eyes.
Yeah,
it's so difficult. Like, I don't know about you. Like, what's your style? Are you confrontational? Are you like laid back? Are you like where would you place yourself?
So I'm very easily, I would say, on the non-confrontational and almost to the point annoying, because I'm like, so why do you feel like that? What do you think triggered you? So again, it's like I'm very much in the sort of, Lawrence is like, stop psychoanalyzing me.
Therapy hat. Yeah.
So I totally sit there very calm, and I bet it takes a lot for me to get riled. I mean, a lot. But again, a bit like Red Ross and Friends, like once I go there, I'm not coming back. So again, it's maybe a cycle, but I would say, yes, I'm very calm. Like if something has, got to that stage where Lawrence is really annoyed or really upset or angry or whatever, and I will sit and I'll be like, listen, I'm like, is there anything else you need to, like, how are you feeling? Is that feeling sort of, better, or is there anything else that you've got, and he's like, stop it, and he gets really annoyed at me because I'm just like, I just won't sort of get to that level. I very, 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 very rarely get there. So I'm kind of like, I would say sort of that kind of zen end point.
Are you still like that when somebody is maybe talking about your behaviours or what they're unhappy with you about, or is that when somebody is just talking more generally about their own situation?
No, both. So I very much, and I think we've talked about this before on another episode when we were talking about feedback. I'm almost addicted to kind of like the constructive criticism. So if someone's telling me that, I've been a dick or, I've done something that's really upset someone, like I want to learn. So I'm very calm and I'm dreadfully apologetic. And I'm like, right, what can I do? And I will listen. Whether I take it on is a different matter, but I'm very active. I'm a very active listener. Lawrence, on the other hand, not quite.
So that I would say is one of my worst traits and I always have the best intentions when I do this, and I'll try and explain it in a way that like makes sense, but I always try to relate to somebody when they are in a situation.
Yeah.
And often it can feel like to the other person, I'm making it about me, but I'm not. I'm just, trying to find a common ground to show some degree of empathy. But often when we're in an argumentative situation, Rory, a friend, whoever would say to me, this is how you make me feel. And I'll sort of turn around and be like, well, when you do that, that's how make me feel. And I understand how frustrating that is. Almost to be like, I understand exactly what you're feeling because I felt it.
So you're trying to communicate that you get it, but sometimes it doesn't come across.
It just feels to the other person I'm making it about myself. And I've watched a lot of videos and stuff about this, and it's quite a common thing. When you're in that situation, like, when somebody's telling a story and somebody always seems to have a better story to tell. And it's not that they're trying to do a one-up. It's almost like I've got a similar story. We're on the same page. I relate to you. Yes, that sort of thing. But it comes across quite negatively, I think.
I totally get you, because I think, how I was saying about how I'm an active listener. So I respond to someone by saying, I totally get sort of you're feeling like this because of this reason. And, I really can understand that because, when this happened to me. So I'm actually, I almost nearly identical to you, but from another angle. So again, I totally get what you mean. It's really difficult because you're trying to kind of explain that you get it. And sometimes you can be the one that's making it worse.
Yeah, without like undermining somebody else's feelings. That's my biggest problem. I also love to give feedback. And I will like give therapy to somebody if they need it. But often in, those challenging situations, I struggle to like take it on, and then I can become like passive aggressive. Like I would say that I'm, a bit like what you said, like a non-confrontational person. Like I don't like arguing. I'm not like one of those shouters necessarily. Like catch me on a really bad day, you might get it, but generally I'm not. But I will be like really like passive aggressive about it, like, and I'll say something with that like that tone that can go either way. And then when someone challenges me on like what I said, I can quite easily flip it into no, I was just saying X or Y. Like, do you know what I mean?
Give me an example of your, like, what a recent sort of.
Okay, so in our household, we seem to have a like frequent debacle about a dishwasher, right? So
who doesn't?
Dishwasher's empty. Put your stuff in the dishwasher. Don't just leave it on the side. So that comes up quite often. So say Rory has left something on the side, 6 hours ago. I'll pick it up like, are you finished with this? It's 6 p.m. and it's a breakfast bowl. Like, clearly, are you finished with this? He's like, yeah, it's finished. And then I always turn it around. Like, if he questions me on like why I'm asking him or like whatever, I'll be like, no, darling, I'm just asking. Are you finished with this beautiful breakfast bowl? Does it need cleaning? Let me sort it for you. Like, don't worry about it. I'll sort it. Like, do you know what I mean? And I do that. The minute somebody then challenges me on my aggression,
it almost like you back down
to make out that I'm doing it in a nice way. Yeah. Oh, and I say to make out I'm doing it in a nice way because I don't mind doing stuff like that for people, but often through gritted teeth.
I really hear you, because I do that when when I was saying how it takes a lot to get me somewhere. I must admit, when you're just telling me that story there, I have done that with Lawrence. I absolutely have done that. And funny enough, it's around the dishwasher.
Oh, it's that
and I'm like, do you need this? This knife that you've had here for 2 days that I've like left purposely so you will do it. You know? But then it's one of those things like, how does a relationship work where, you know, how we've talked about roles and relationships and, someone does the bins and someone does whatever. Like, does it go to that level where, someone just assumes that it'll get done?
But that's the thing. And I say this all the time, like dishwasher fairy, washing machine fairy. Like somebody just assumes somebody's going to come around and do it.
Yeah.
And it's like just flipping back to the passag thing. It's like, are you ever like passive aggressive with Sophia?
Yeah.
Because I sometimes, there are key things I have to do for the children. Brushing the teeth is one. I'm like there, toothbrush in hand, moving towards my child, holding him down. Open your mouth. Open your mouth, darling. You're so sweet. Open your goddamn mouth. Like, do you know what I mean? And then he's like, Mummy, you're hurting me. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Open your mouth. But you know what I mean?
I totally get.
When you put them to bed, they're like, Mummy. What? Can you do this? Yes, darling. Night. Night. Sleep time. Love you. See you in the morning. Fuck off. No. But I can feel myself doing it, and it's awful.
Yeah. I know. Well, that's the same as me with the tidying. And I'm like, she's like, I can't do it, Mummy. I'm like, Sophia, the feeling you will get if you just put one item back in that box, it'll feel so good. Just try it. The gritted teeth. I'm like, do your shoes go in there? Do they? I just thought they went in the cupboard like everyone else, but never mind. Yeah.
So it's like, it goes up the octave. Do you want to get your shoes? Do you want to get your shoes? Do you want to get your shoes?
So I do in the morning when Sophia's not listening, when they're half asleep and they're just not paying attention. So it drives Lawrence nuts. And he's like, I wish he wouldn't do it. And I was like, I don't know, I can't help it because I'm tired. So anyway, I'm like, Sophia, do you want to put your socks on, baby? Sophia, do you want to put your socks on? Your socks are over there. Sophia, your socks are over there, darling. Sophia, your socks? Sophia, socks. Sophia, can you put your socks on, please? Sophia, can you put your socks? Sophia, socks, please. Sophia, socks. Can you put your socks on, please? Can you put your socks on, please? Can you put your socks on, please? Can you put the socks on, please? And Laura's just like, would you just stop? And I'm like, if she's not going to put her socks on, I'm going to annoy her.
But I was going to say, and that's exactly, even listening to that then, I was literally like, shut up. And I think we are making mistakes with our children like that.
Oh, for sure. That's probably increasing her anxiety, likelihood in her teenage
they're
years.
Shutting down.
Yeah,
as adults, we wouldn't respond to that, right? But so how does that impact on your relationship? Like, we've probably spoken about like argument dynamics before and how you both and stuff, but like, are you quite different in that respect? Yeah,
definitely. One of the big questions we've had over the last we've been together 8 years. So over the years has been, what constitutes shouting or raising your voice?
Oh.
So to me, it's so low. So I've got a really low threshold. So to me, it's literally just like this.
Okay.
I don't like being spoken to in a raised voice, even though I just did it to my own child.
Yeah.
Might be something I need to reflect on. But Lawrence, however, has lived in an environment before pre-me where everybody argued.
Loud.
Everybody was loud. Everybody argued. Everybody talked and one of the key things is that everybody talked on top of each other. So nobody let each other talk. They all just started talking and ignored everybody. So to him, every time I get upset, because I'm like, you shouted at me, you raised your voice to me. And he's like, I didn't. And I'm like, you did.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like a little bit of difference. There is, when he's told me or spoken to me where he feels raised voices and shouting is, I'm like, dear Lord, if that happened, I'd be like throwing myself out the door. We've talked about this in the fact that my household, I'm assuming this is where it's come from, my parents, my life, to where I am now, I've not been around people who shout.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm super
Interesting.
sensitive to it, whereas he's not. He's totally numb to it.
So I think there's a difference between loud voice and aggressive voice.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think you can speak loudly, passionately,
Yeah.
without sounding aggressive.
Yeah.
But you can also speak really quietly and be really aggressive. And I think that's a difference. And I also don't remember necessarily growing up in a household where there was lots of shouting or aggressive shouting. Probably shouting because my mum wouldn't move like 2 steps up the stairs. She would shout, 2 floors above, do that, like one of those sort of families. And so there's probably lots of shouting. But again, I would say, and maybe you've even noticed this, maybe our listeners notice this, I get very excited when I'm in conversations, and a really bad habit of mine is speaking over people.
So I don't think you do. I mean, I maybe like you said, listeners might say otherwise, but I don't think you do that. Maybe because you're conscious of it.
But right now, even then, like I can feel it, like I can feel like the tip of my tongue going. And in this setting, I feel like I'm way more aware of it.
You're more conscious,
and way more conscious of it. And I sometimes find, especially sometimes in a work setting, I would feel like I want to, or I do speak out when everyone's on teams with their hands up. But then I'm almost learning from other people, like to keep stum. But I sometimes find it really hard. And this is where, and I do struggle with social cues sometimes. And I know that about myself is when I feel like I've got something to say, I just need to say it. I really struggle to bottle things up in that environment. But then on the flip side, maybe in my home environment, I don't speak up enough, and I am quite like reserved, and I maybe don't say how I feel about things through like worry of confrontation. So in an excitable setting, I can't wait to speak, but in another setting, I go into my shell. It's like really
So
strange.
you're managing the environment that you're in. So like you're saying, if you're passionate about something, you're really keen to sort of share and, be engaged and sort of like, announce your idea or your contribution. Whereas in a setting where you're tired, that the kids, you've got to balance everybody's emotions. You're literally kind of like going for the long. You're wanting to win the war, not the battle. So you're kind of thinking you're picking your battles, and you're kind of compromising. Maybe. I mean, look at me trying to analyze it.
But no, and I think that speaking over people thing probably comes from like wanting to feel like your point is valued and stuff like that. I can relate so much back, like all of that sort of stuff that we've spoken about before. But it's interesting how you can like flip flop.
Oh, completely. I definitely think there's battles. I'm a very sort of it's really interesting, like when you're talking about confrontation. So like I was saying, it takes a lot for me to go red Vicks, like red Ross, red Vicks. It does take a lot. And if it's about me, I shut down completely. If it's about someone, if we'd gone out and someone started on you, or someone like, if there was a guy coming onto you or something and he was doing something, I'd be like, scrappy do. I'd be in there ripping off earrings, going, right, come on, outside. I've knocked someone out because they started on my sister. Honestly, I ran because I was petrified that I killed this person.
Stop it.
I've had these moments where I've gone so red Vicks because of someone I care about. So like, I've been in Soho with some my friends who are gay, and some idiot from somewhere has, said, oh, look at those faggots, right? Horrendous to hear that happen to anyone, but when you're with someone who you bloody adore and they are being insulted to the point it's disgraceful, like I just lose it. Like I'm so surprised I haven't been arrested, because sometimes I just it's almost like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
For someone else, I will burn a bridge.
Fight,
yeah, I would absolutely, like, I would kill a man type of thing. Not that that's a confession, because I have never done that. But, but when it comes to myself, like you, I shut down, and I would rather keep the peace, maintain the peace until it's the right moment.
Yeah.
There's certain things where I'm like, Lawrence and I are having a back and forth, but he's not ready to listen. So a bit like you were saying about the kids aren't ready to listen. Sometimes we as adults aren't ready to listen.
Oh, 100%.
And it's about when can you talk to them about the dishwasher. So this is where, again, I think I've mentioned this on this podcast before, we do Beefy Mondays. So we do this thing where Lawrence and I will talk, and it's actually gone from not just a Monday, it's just a beef now. So it's started to come a little bit more frequent. But again, we're creating like a psychological safe space for us to go, right, I'm not telling you this because I'm trying to put you down or make you feel small or anything like that. It's just something that annoys me. And would you just stop it? So something as tiny as a tea towel. I'm like, there's a place for the tea towel, but why does the tea towel always end up on the table or on the side?
Yeah.
And I'm like, babe, just a beef, please. Like that tea towel. If there's any way we can make it better, I'm all ears, but can we just kind of hang that up so it doesn't end up in a festering mess?
And I'm at my worst when I feel like it's a massive contradiction. So if somebody had called me out on something and they then do it, that for me is the biggest thing. And, in those instances, I'm like an elephant. I don't forget, right? And then I pull that out is like, do you remember that time when?
So you've got your
Do you remember this? And I do, because I hate feeling like I've been pulled up on something that you're then going to do and it be okay, because you've made me feel crap for doing something.
Yeah.
And then you're bloody going to do it.
It's weird, isn't it? Because it's we do it here. Like, Lawrence, no one's perfect, are they? But like, how do you create that? Because everybody's got their thing. Like, you've had a bad day or you're tired or, the kids have done something or whatever. Like, we all have those moments where we're not listening, where you can really aggravate someone really badly. And like, you're saying about the passive aggressive thing, like, how do you translate that? Because you are pissed off. When do you say it? How do you say it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, and what do you want the outcome to be? Like, and I mean, not that we're all going to compute that formula in the space of time because we're all going to be in our heads. But, I remember a couple of weeks ago, and this sounds so minor, and I think I told you this, we'd got a takeout and I'd bought some food and I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have that. Leftovers. I'll have that. And I wasn't very well. And so I thought, oh, I'll leave it a couple of days and I'll have it when I'm feeling a bit better. Anyway, got up. I was like, what am I going to have for lunch? I'm going to have the leftovers. Very excited about this day. It's going to be a wonderful day. And then I came downstairs and it had gone. And I was like, and Lawrence was out. He's going to his radio show. I was like, Lawrence, where is this food? Do you know where I've put it? And again, passive aggressive. I went, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm not looking in the right places, when I blatantly knew he'd eaten it. And again, why did I do that? Because I knew he was on the way to radio. He'd be in his head ready for his radio show. And I've just sent him this passive aggressive message.
Yeah.
When I knew it was the wrong thing.
But it's still annoying. But
it's still annoying. But why did I do it then when I knew it would piss him off?
Well, yeah, okay, maybe on that part. But then you bring it up at a later date and then that's the wrong time to do it. And I'm really much like that. So, we go for this thing of you get the weekly shop. Oh, do you want anything on the shop? No, just the normal, The weekly shop comes and you've bought, I don't know, stuff for the kids, stuff for you, stuff for... you're hosting.
Right,
so you're hosting. It's a great example. Hosting on the Saturday, Friday night, Rory might come in, open the fridge, start eating or cooking something. It's like, can I eat this? And I'm like, well, it was for said event, right? But you can eat it if you want, but I was gonna use it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Where do I go from there? It's like, of course you can eat it if you want. And it's just annoying.
Yeah. The thing is, if he was able in the time frame to be able to replace it or, do something alternative, then fine, crack on. But in that time frame, you're like, what are you going to do? How are you going to deal with that?
I'm just annoyed because I feel like I gave you ample opportunity to say what you wanted on said shopping list.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm taking another angle.
And the fact that it probably won't be replaced and then I need to go and find something. But in those instances, yeah, I can be really like passive aggressive because then I'm like, of course eat it. Of course eat it. He's like, well, do you want me to eat it or not? And I'm like, if you want to eat it,
I feel like Lawrence and Rory need their own podcast.
because stop.
Because you and I are so similar. I reckon they need to have. We should do that. We should have like an alternate episode.
God, I don't even know where it would go though. That's the
Yeah, to
thing.
be fair, that would be quite dangerous, really.
But do you know what? It's such a difficult one. And I, like, how does Sophia argue, or how does she, like, is she confrontational? Is she passive aggressive? Is she emotional? Like,
That's a really good question. Sophia, it depends what mood she's in. It really does, because she's got I don't know if this is the same in your household. She's got a different way of arguing with me as she does with her dad.
Yeah.
So Lawrence gets a lot of aggression. So she like, if he says something or does something, she's like, Dad, stop it. Proper kind of
interesting.
forceful.
Fly.
I don't know. There's a real kind of force behind it. Like, no, I don't want to do it. The proper tantrum, spoilt brat style kind of, amplification of, opinion. Whereas with me, it's mummy.
Oh, they're not.
and I'm like, back.
Yeah. Oh, that's like, especially now the kids are, old enough to understand. If they make those noises at me, I'll do it straight back at them. Exactly what you've just said. Totally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're probably setting our kids up for so much therapy later on in life, but yeah, that's she's very whingy with me. She's very whiny, like she wants cuddles, and mummy, but I want to do, mummy. Why can't I have this? Why can't I do that? But I really want to. That kind of like whinge. Whereas like with her dad, she's proper like defined, like I remember the fun, those things when they say something back and you're like, that's quite possibly the best response I've ever heard. And you're trying not to say anything. Because she said to, I think Lawrence said to her something like, yeah, but you're not listening, Sophia. Oh, no, don't say that to me. You're not listening. And she goes, well, Daddy, I don't think you're actively listening to me.
That is you all over, though. Mother's daughter.
Right, 36-year-old with a psychology degree.
Literally, but my two say stuff that we say as well. Yeah, totally. But, they're also very aware of it as well. And I'm now really conscious about us arguing, I guess, in front of the children. Because, we've had times as well. And, look, I don't ever want to hide the kids from it because I think that's fake.
And I think it's natural to argue.
It is.
You can't perfectly live with someone.
No, but we're at that stage now where, we've had it like, Mummy, Daddy, stop shouting. I can't hear the TV.
Oh.
Those sort of things.
Yeah.
To even for us like, why are you arguing? And it's like, we're not arguing. We're just talking loudly. Like, do you know what I mean? And so I am aware of that. And I don't want to shield them for it. But I also, it's that exposure thing. And I sometimes think, is my approach to, my passive aggressiveness towards them potentially, or towards Rory, or towards anybody, or, my being non-confrontational, or however I think I am, like, what is that teaching them? Because at the moment, my two can get very frustrated. And I feel like it's very like gritted teeth frustration without a huge outlet. And that bothers me as well, because I can see it, when you can see it building up and they don't quite yet know how to manage it.
No, it's so hard if you think about, the age. I mean, even right the way up, to be honest, even till your early 20s. I mean, maybe all the time. But, trying to understand your emotions is really hard. Whether you're an adult or a child, trying to figure out what you're feeling, until, you go into therapy and someone is able to kind of navigate you to the reason why you are triggered by certain things, or the way you're feeling. Oh my God, that's anxiety, or that's frustration. Or until someone helps you do that, Like, you're not in control.
And that's the hardest thing as well, is like seeing that somebody's behavior might be because of something else and then making that somewhat acceptable.
Toxic acceptance.
Is that what that is?
That's what that is. And it's one of the it's honestly, this is something that I'm learning a lot about at the moment, because I'm very accepting. Oh, but his mum died when he was 14, like for Lawrence or whatever. There's things that, and I'm not saying that that's like a justification, but that's a good example of an excuse that I probably would give. Like, oh, but she's had a really hard day at school today. It's been really hot. She's really sweaty. Like,
He's tired.
he's tired.
He had a long day.
He's
Long
tired.
week.
He didn't enjoy his dinner.
Yeah.
Oh, his coffee wasn't warm enough. Like, all these things where I'm like, why am I justifying it? Lawrence says I'm the queen of justification. And I think it goes into my kind of psyche almost. And I struggle, because and again, when we're talking about confrontation, like I just don't want anybody to ever feel sad or angry or any of the negative emotions, like any of the red emotions. Like, I never want anybody to feel that way because of me.
Do you know what it is? Like, I often, I feel like it's okay for me to be angry or be frustrated with somebody, like the kids, for example. But when I see somebody else be like that with them, I want to give them an excuse.
That's it. It's interesting, isn't it?
Hard,
How you kind of navigate. It's such a difficult one. And I think kind of we all have to give ourselves a bit of a break on it. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't condone sort of when we're saying about some of the things that we do that we shouldn't do.
Oh yeah, and I know. So, like, some of my worst traits, and I wish I wasn't like that. I do, like I'm by no means perfect. And I say that all of the time. But like, I can see how I act in some situations where I think I'm like being the bigger person or like making the right decision. It can be like really frustrating for somebody else.
Yeah, and it's just really hard. We're all human. We've all got these emotions. We've all had our, own experiences that will bring baggage, emotional baggage that will, unfortunately impact us in a way. And yeah, I think it sounds awful and really tough to hear and tough to say it, is that there will be things that we are handing over to our kids emotionally, that they will have to deal with. And there is obviously a paranoia and a guilt around that. But at the same time, as long as your intentions are there and in your gut, you're doing the right thing, and the majority of the time, you can slip up. You can, not feel guilty that you've, had that bad day and that thing did slip out.
Thing is, right, I don't think anyone goes into anything with a bad intention.
No, well,
that's we hope. We hope that, don't that's we? Even when I look at like my own household and the frustrations and stuff like that, like often our arguments are because we both have the best intentions. They're just not aligned. Or our biggest thing at the moment, I don't know if you have similar, is who can be the most considerate person.
That's definitely not in our house.
But like Roy and I do fall into this trap, is, I'll do this so you don't have to. No, darling, like, it's fine. I'll do it so you don't have to. I know you've got this on. No, I'll do it. And then it's like a competing to who can be the most considerate of somebody else's situation.
Yeah, that's interesting. So there's almost like so there's an intention, but it's kind of like, there's a side of that which sort of goes a bit too far almost, isn't it?
Too far, because it's then like, are we being really considerate so we can say we've been really considerate because we want to be really considerate, or then who trumps who? It's like top trumps, isn't it? Like all of the time is like, who has got something more that they need to do, which you then need to be considerate for. Difficult.
So this is it. So one of the things I do with Lawrence isn't as sort of, I guess, clear with him, sort of understanding his emotions as much as I do, because I've had like 15 years of solid therapy. So I mean, I'm very aware. And I will come downstairs in the morning and I will say, I think I'm operating at like 40% today. I don't think I've got a lot in me, and things like I'll say, oh, I've got really bad anxiety. I think I'm operating at like 20%, and it's kind of like, that's my way of trying to communicate with Lawrence that you're not going to get a lot out of me. And if you do, it's probably not going to be the right thing.
Yeah.
and there's kind of like you're saying about sort of trying to be considerate. I'm always trying to be considerate to him to say, heads up.
Yeah, heed the warning.
Today's not the day. This morning's not the morning. This might happen. And not that I'm trying to pre-apologize, but it's almost like I'm trying to communicate in a way to try and help.
At least you're trying to communicate. Whereas for me, I think it could be blindingly obvious I was in that mood, but I would still be like, no, I'm fine. Let's get on with it. And I find that really hard to be vulnerable. And we've had that conversation before about, I would find that really hard. And I'm listening to you thinking, maybe I should do that. But there's something about me that it's like soldier on, soldier on.
But that could be the way that we've been brought up. I think we've talked about this generational thing when we've had, and again, it's that generational trauma. And I'll use the word trauma because it comes from a space of trauma, previous generations, and it's filtered through to us. So even though, our parents or us, as a group may have not had the trauma, it's filtered through this expectation that you must perform, you must be okay. When you're a kid, like if you're around someone's house and you weren't feeling well or you were feeling anxious or tired or whatever, like you will sit there and you will eat that dinner and you will, you will be polite and say your thank yous. And like, there's such an expectation that's come from previous generations that we have to bear. And I think that really impacts the way that we deliver ourselves, and we will compromise. Whereas a lot of the younger generations now won't compromise. And you're like, dude, you're an arsehole. And I'm like, well, no, she's actually speaking her truth. Good for her.
And they don't compromise.
No.
For real. They hold their boundaries.
Yeah. So,
well,
that was a good note to end on, wasn't
it? Yeah, well, that is definitely boundaries.
Do not compromise.
That is definitely a conversation for another day.
Yeah, you should put that on the list.
Holding your boundaries. How can you implement boundaries maybe that you never held before, and then you evolve and develop as a person, and now you want to hold these boundaries, and it's really difficult.
And how do you know when to and when not to? Like, when do you enforce? When do you just walk away because it's not worth? As in, like, that person, it's not even worth enforcing. They're just not right. So,
and it's a pick your battle thing. You enforce them with one, you don't in another. That.
Oh, we're going deep, girl.
We are going deep. Well,
all right, babe.
Good one to end on. Cheers.
Cheers, honey.
See ya.